They brought her in like she was royalty. White heels, fresh blowout. Iced matcha in one hand and a ring light under the other. First day on the job, and Karen Matson walked into our Monday all hands like she was about to film a skincare tutorial, not lead a tech department. She called us change agents, said we were here to reimagine innovation. I nearly choked on my vending machine coffee. My name's Ray. I'm 42. I live in Tempe, Arizona. I had been with the company almost 13 years. Never missed a patch cycle, never crashed production, never asked for credit. I was the guy who kept the place standing, while everyone else was busy playing office politics or Googling how to open a command prompt. Nobody saw me, but they sure noticed when I fixed things at 2 a.m. while they slept. Quick note. Before we start, how's your day going, and where are you joining from? Karen had exactly zero technical background. Zero. She married the CEO's son after meeting him at some yoga retreat in Sedona. And I don't mean that as a dig. It's just facts. The only thing she'd ever coded was probably her Instagram bio. 2 days in, she cornered me by the coffee machine and asked, "Hey, is Java still a thing? Or is that like MySpace energy?" I stared at her for a full beat. Thought about explaining multi-platform compilers, virtual machines, backwards compatibility. But all I said was, "Yeah, it's still a thing." Then I walked off. She got named head of tech innovation, just like that. Took over entire systems she couldn't spell. And everyone smiled. You know that forced corporate hostage smile people do when the CEO's family is involved. HR called it transformative leadership. I called it a disaster with a calendar. But I didn't say a word. I'd seen enough visionaries crash and burn over the years. I just kept doing what I did best, holding together a back end that looked like Frankenstein's workshop. Undocumented scripts, legacy platforms taped together with API band-aids, cron jobs that hadn't failed since 2015. All invisible, all mine. Karen didn't know what she was walking into, and no one warned her, because to them, infrastructure just worked, magic, until it didn't. It's funny. You can live in the walls of a place, be its heartbeat, and nobody notices until the pulse flatlines. And then she walked in and decided we were outdated. 2 months in, Karen called an all-hands for something she titled a strategic renewal sync. That was the subject line, no details. Just corporate dread dressed up in tech buzzwords. We all crammed into conference room B, the one with flickering lights and a projector from the Stone Age. She stood up front in a baby pink blazer and white heels again, grinning like she was about to pitch us a new vitamin supplement. I could already tell this wasn't going to be good. "Hey fam," she said, clicking her tiny remote with manicured fingers. I know change can feel scary, but that's just the sound of growth knocking. I clenched my jaw. Slide 1 was a Canva graphic of a rocket ship made out of laptops. Real deep. She launched into a monologue about energy alignment and vibe optimization. Said she'd been studying team flow mapping on some startup blog. Then came the part that made my stomach flip. "We've been reviewing core systems," she said, all sing-songy like she was reading affirmations. "And it's clear the legacy architecture is holding back the vibe. You guys are amazing, but we've got dinosaur platforms doing Flintstone-level work." That got a couple nervous chuckles. Not laughs, just survival noises. She pointed to a slide labeled Sunset Roadmap. It had clip art of a palm tree and the word BYE in neon text. "We're going to sunset outdated infrastructure and bring in modern, scalable alternatives. Cloud native, plug and play, zero drag environments." Every word stabbed deeper, because I knew what sunset really meant. It meant ripping out every piece of tech I'd kept breathing since 2011. It meant layoffs, reorgs chaos dressed up in Canva templates. Next slide looked like it was yanked straight off some Medium post. Color-coded boxes labeled Old World and New Energy. Under Old World, payroll, order tracking, inventory sync, vendor chain automation. Everything I'd built. Under New Energy, agility. That was it. Just the word agility in Comic Sans. I scanned the room. No one said anything. Not a cough, not a shuffle. Everyone just sat there, backs tight, eyes blank. Not because they agreed, but because they knew. Karen kept going. We'll be replacing legacy ops with a streamlined platform from a partner we met at South by Southwest. These guys are legit. They've disrupted 3 industries already. 3 industries, 0 clients probably. I watched one of the junior devs, Miguel, quietly slide his resume folder back onto his desktop. Smart kid, always paid attention. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling tile with the brown water stain. This wasn't my first rodeo. I'd lived through 6 reorgs, 3 acquisitions, and a CFO who once tried to move payroll to Google Sheets. This was just the beginning of another collapse. Only this time, it wasn't a spreadsheet junkie or a clueless board. It was the CEO's daughter-in-law with a fake TED talk voice and a Canva addiction. Karen ended the deck with a slide that said, "The future is now," over a stock photo of a guy holding a tablet on a mountaintop. "I know this is a lot," she said, "but if we're gonna soar, we have to let go of the weights holding us down." No one clapped. She stood there for a second too long, smiling like we were supposed to cheer or hug or something. Then she added, "I'll be setting up one-on-ones to hear your innovation dreams." Innovation dreams. Jesus. People filed out quiet, slower than usual. Like they didn't want to be the first to step on the landmine. I stayed behind. Just a minute, long enough to feel the silence settle. I knew the systems she wanted to scrap. I knew what would break when she pulled the wrong plug. I knew which script kept the invoice pipeline from jamming every Friday afternoon. And I knew she had no idea how any of it worked. But I didn't say a word, because I was already thinking about my backup drives, already planning how to make a clean break if I had to. I shut my laptop, stood up, and walked out. Back at my desk, I barely had time to sit before the calendar. Ping hit, 4:45 p.m. Quick sync, HR, no agenda, no context, just dread. I knew what it meant. Everyone did. That was the new playbook. No warning, just a digital bullet between the eyes at the end of the day. Give them no time to fight back, no time to pack, just clean removal like scraping a sticker off a lunchbox. I grabbed my badge, left my laptop open on the desktop, no point closing tabs, and headed down to HR. Greg from HR looked like he wanted to crawl inside the filing cabinet. And there she was, Karen, sitting on the edge of his desk like she owned the building, like she was posing for a brochure titled Women Who Disrupt. Legs crossed, iced tea in hand, smile plastic. "Ray," she chirped like we were buddies meeting for brunch. "Thanks for coming by so fast." I didn't sit. She launched right in. "So we're pivoting into a more agile org structure and streamlining around youthful energy and fresh innovation." "Stop," I said. "Calm, flat. Get to it." Greg cleared his throat like he'd swallowed a staple. Yes. Due to organizational restructuring, your role is being transitioned out as part of a strategic shift." He slid the severance envelope across the desk like it was radioactive. I didn't touch it. Karen tilted her head. "We're grateful for your service, truly. But we're moving toward more scalable, cloud-native talent profiles and—" "Jesus," I muttered, "you really don't know when to shut up." That cracked her smile, not in half, in pieces like glass. I stepped forward, took off my badge, and laid it on the desk, slow and final. "You've got 15 minutes, she blinked. "Excuse me?" I locked eyes with her. 15. That's about how long your systems will last after I'm gone. Greg sat straighter. "Wait, are you saying—" "I'm not saying anything," I cut in. "I'm just letting you know what happens when duct tape walks out the door." Karen forced a laugh. "Wow, that sounds like a threat, Ray." "Nope," I said. "Just facts. You've got dashboards running on undocumented Python I wrote 7 years ago. Inventory syncs patched with cron jobs I haven't even named. You think that cloud-native partner of yours is gonna untangle any of that before Friday?" Her silence told me she had no clue what I was talking about. Not even a basic grasp. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. I turned to Greg. "I'm not signing anything today. You'll get my mailing address." Greg nodded like he wanted to disappear. I looked back at Karen. "You wanted fresh blood. Hope you brought a mop." Then I walked out. Didn't look back. Didn't need to. I didn't even bother with the elevator. Walked straight out the building, badge still on their desk, air tasting sharper than it had in years. 2 blocks down was a greasy diner with faded blue booths and a humming soda fountain that never stopped leaking. I slid into the corner by the window, the one with the cracked formica and half a napkin holder. Ordered a black coffee I didn't want. Waitress didn't ask questions, just poured and walked. From where I sat, I could see the company's glass tower, top floors gleaming like they were still clean, lights blinking across floors that had no idea what was about to happen. I checked the time, 4:56 p.m. First hiccup came at 5:01. The login portal went down. Not just the website, the whole internal identity stack. LDAPSSO, Session Manager. Everything I'd kept duct taped together for a decade. Users got dumped to generic timeout screens. 2 minutes later, finance pinged me. Subject line, "Hey, quick issue." Then logistics. Then procurement. All asking if I could take a look real quick. Real quick, like I was still on the payroll. By 5:08, the dashboard layer died. KPI charts turned into blank grids. The warehouse sync stalled at processing and stuck there. None of it surprised me. Those scripts, I'd written them in off hours on weekends while everyone else was doing yoga challenges and posting Slack selfies. They weren't in Git. They weren't documented. They lived in my sandbox, tied to my keys. Karen never asked, never even thought to. She just assumed they ran on vibes. And the best part? The NDA she made me sign on day one. That shiny bulletproof contract full of legal jargon and cheerful nonsense. She never read it. I owned every line of personal code not explicitly commissioned, which was basically all of it. So, when I left, it left with me. I didn't hack anything, didn't sabotage a single byte. I just stopped holding it together. By 5:15, the building looked like it was glitching. People running from desk to desk, lights flickering. The executive floor went dark. Not literally, but close. Their entire cloud visualization suite crashed. Pretty colors replaced with red error tiles and please contact support. Except I was support. My phone buzzed non-stop. 17 new emails, 5 voicemails, and a Slack invite from someone in marketing titled Help Pials. Didn't open any of it. Just sipped the bitter coffee and watched the show. Karen had wanted a fresh start. Well, here it was. Fresh chaos. A delivery guy dropped off someone's dinner 2 booths over. Meatloaf. Smelled burnt. I didn't even blink. Somewhere in that glass box, someone was trying to reboot a Docker container that didn't exist anymore. Somewhere else, a project manager was refreshing a ticket tracker that would never load. And Karen, probably yelling into a muted Zoom call, wondering why nobody could fix what she didn't understand. They thought I was just the back-end guy, a leftover from a dinosaur stack. What they didn't get, what they never wanted to get, was that I was the infrastructure, not the code. Me. The guy who kept the whole rusted machine humming out of pure spite and coffee. And now, silence. I leaned back in the booth, stared through the glass at the people inside that building, and let the failure do what it was always going to do. Collapse. By 6 o'clock, the dashboards looked like murder scenes. Red blocks, failed syncs, missing data everywhere. It was beautiful in a sick, mechanical kind of way. Every corner of the system started folding in on itself. Nothing dramatic, just quiet failure at scale. Login systems had already face-planted, but now customer tools were going down. Inventory indexes started duplicating. Vendor queues backed up like clogged toilets. Sales couldn't verify pricing. Finance couldn't see payroll. HR, completely blind. And the clients, they noticed fast. First LinkedIn post popped up around 6:12 p.m. One of our enterprise clients tagging the company with a simple, "Why is your dashboard returning null fields?" By 6:30, it was a dog pile. People screenshotting broken UIs, missing data, invoices showing up as PDFs with nothing but 0.00 on them. Then Karen did the dumbest thing she could have done. She popped into our old team's Slack, the one she never used before, and dropped this gem. "Let's stay positive, fam. We got this." I almost felt bad for her. First reply was from Dinesh, the senior dev she kept ignoring. "You fired the guy who built it, so no, you don't got this." Then 3 engineers quit the workspace outright. A 4th one just replied, "LMAO." Karen didn't post again after that. Somewhere in the building, the CEO, Alan Croft, was still stuck in a board meeting. He didn't even know what was happening yet. Not until he got the priority alert from the customer escalation channel. Red status. Multiple enterprise clients impacted. Internal services failing. I wasn't there, obviously, but I know how he operates. He walked out mid-slide deck and stormed through 2 floors like someone lit his blazer on fire. Marched straight to the server room. Not because he knew what to do, but because he thought that's where problems got solved. What he found was Karen standing by a server rack with a clipboard, looking like she was auditioning for a role she didn't understand. She was reading something off a printed email and yelling at 2 techs like they were Uber drivers who'd taken a wrong turn. "Can't you just restore the cloud backup?" That's what she said. Loud, confident, wrong. One of the junior techs, probably Tyler, poor kid, told her flat out, "There's no backup of your config. You never set one." Another guy added, "We didn't even get access to half the systems." He owned the pipeline. That's when Croft's face must have changed. Because for the first time since she married his son and floated in on a cloud of Sedona charm and yoga retreats, he realized what she was. Not a disruptor, a liability. She hadn't been leading anything. She'd been flipping switches she didn't know the function of, deleting files labeled critical_config_final_final, and calling it innovation. The silence that followed was probably louder than her entire job tenure. And me? I was still at the diner, watching the tower from the same booth. Coffee gone cold, face blank, not proud, not smug, just done. First message came in before I even left the diner. Karen Madsen. "Hey, just checking in. We're having a weird little tech hiccup. Could use your brain on this if you're free." I let it sit. Then came the email. Subject line, urgent tech advisory support. She tried to make it sound official, like we'd ever had that kind of relationship. Said it would mean a lot to the team if I could consult briefly. Still didn't respond. Slack invite followed. She reactivated the workspace I'd been kicked from and dropped a message in general chat like we were all still playing nice. "Hey fam, let's stay solutions focused. Would love Ray's insight during this exciting pivot." She still thought this was salvageable, like a few positive vibes and a Canva diagram could glue the place back together. Then came the Venmo. $20 note, "Please help." That one almost made me laugh. Almost. By noon she'd switched gears, started pointing fingers fast, blamed the offshore dev team first. They must have missed something in the handoff. Then the interns. Said they'd been playing with sandbox permissions. Then she went for the nuclear spin, called the whole collapse a bold pivot in digital process accountability. She actually used those words in an internal email. Someone leaked it within 20 minutes. By mid-afternoon, legal got involved. The real kind of involved. Not policy review, but logs, Slack exports, full audit mode. And what they found? Bad. Messages where she told a junior to just delete the old contracts. No one reads those. One where she called compliance checks boomer stuff we're ignoring for now. Another where she told someone to pretend the invoice data isn't missing, it's just decentralized. Meanwhile, the PR team was burning alive. The chatbots that were supposed to handle customer complaints kept sending out auto replies like, "We're disrupting inefficiency," and "Your frustration fuels our transformation journey." Clients were livid, screenshots everywhere. One exec from a logistics partner tweeted, "Our entire order pipeline is down, but at least Karen's feeling aligned." The pastel blazers were gone by late afternoon. Karen showed up in a baggy hoodie and black leggings, hair pulled back, sunglasses on, inside the building, like that could shield her from consequences. She tried to get ahead of it with a real talk post on the company's internal feed. Wrote a full paragraph about learning curves and building the plane while flying it. Said she was honored to be at the forefront of change. Nobody liked it. Not even ironically. That evening I heard from one of the sysadmins, a guy named Josh. We weren't close, but we'd traded scripts over the years. He messaged me one line. They pulled her badge at 6:42. Karen was officially suspended, pending review, which in corporate speak meant, pack your shit. And me? I turned off my phone, took the long way home, and slept like I hadn't in years. The next morning, my inbox looked like a digital crime scene. Apologies, please, spin. Karen didn't write, probably wasn't allowed to at that point, but her trail was all over it. Greg from HR, trying to sound casual. Hey Ray, just checking in. Hope you're doing well. If you have a minute, leadership would love your perspective. Then the CEO's assistant. Alan would like to reconnect. No pressure, of course. No pressure, just desperation, gift-wrapped in fake warmth. I ignored all of them, except one. A fat PDF from a law firm in New York. Official letterhead, full legal weight, subpoena, shareholders were filing suit. Misrepresentation, operational negligence, breach of fiduciary duty. They wanted testimony. They wanted to know how a company worth hundreds of millions had been running on a back end built by one pissed-off guy with 3 monitors and a grudge. They wanted the truth. So I gave it to them. Every flagged report I ever sent. Every Slack thread Karen ignored. The JIRA tickets marked low priority, even though they had the word critical in all caps. Internal review docs she never opened. I had screenshots of her scrolling past and typing hashtags in the comments section. Or, fresh starts, no more boomers, manifest cloud energy. Yeah, that happened. I dug up the quarterly ops report I'd submitted 6 months before she arrived, the one where I warned them about system fragility, the technical debt, the fact that our invoice engine was 3 bad inputs from crashing. I sent the file where she renamed a server instance Happy Place 2 and deleted the original thinking it was a duplicate. We lost 2 weeks of data recovery time cleaning up that one. I sent it all, not to destroy them, not out of revenge, just to clarify, loud and legally. Depositions happened over Zoom. I wore a plain t-shirt and gave clear answers. No emotion, no story, just data and timestamps. Their own words, their own choices, served back with the metadata to prove it. Karen's name came up again and again, not as a scapegoat, but as a central player. She wasn't the only problem, but she put her face on the problem, and now it was public. Reporters picked it up by week's end. Wellness CEO in law linked to back-end collapse. Startup guru turns legacy disaster. From matcha to meltdown, a case study in corporate delusion. Internally, she was blacklisted. Nobody said the word, but I knew. Her name wouldn't land another leadership role anywhere that didn't sell candles or pyramid schemes. And me? They called me Exhibit A, the guy who held it all together, the guy nobody noticed, until everything fell apart and the receipts came flying in. About a week after the subpoena landed, a white envelope showed up in my mailbox. No branding, no marketing crap, just my name, typed clean across the front. Inside was an offer from Stratum Systems. No pitch, no fluff. Just a simple statement. 6-month retainer, double your previous pay, flexible hours, no direct manager. I didn't even hesitate. I signed it in under 5 minutes. Stratum had been circling me for years. I knew their recruiter, a guy named Paul, used to quietly check my Git activity every few months. I'd always said no before. Wasn't the right time, but now, yeah. It was the exact right time. First day was remote. They FedExed me a laptop, fully unlocked, with a sticky note that said, "Use what you want. Replace what you don't." I logged in, set up Linux, dumped the default software, and built my own workspace from scratch. Nobody said a word. No corporate templates. No IT approval flow. They didn't care how I worked, just that I delivered. First meeting wasn't orientation. It was strategy. We spent an hour mapping their stack, identifying friction points, building priorities from actual problems. Not vibes. There was a whiteboard, but no motivational quotes. No one said disruptor. No one tried to impress anyone else. They listened. They asked. They wrote stuff down. I hadn't seen that in years. Some guy from product mentioned refactoring their auth layer, and when I said I preferred to handle my own containerization, he just nodded and said, "Cool. Just document it when you can." No layers of middle management, no fake urgency, no ring lights or pastel nonsense, just people doing their jobs. After 2 weeks, I'd already knocked out 3 major cleanup projects. No status meetings, just results. I walked past my old building one night after grabbing a burger down the block. It was dark, the whole place. No lights on any floor, lobby empty. Signage stripped off the glass. A crooked for lease banner dangled half-taped to the inside of the window. I stood there a minute, let it settle. I didn't feel smug. I didn't feel anything, really. Just clean. That weight, the constant pressure of being the guy nobody noticed until it was too late, it was gone. I wasn't arguing with people who thought cloud native meant putting your files in Dropbox. I was just working, getting paid, sleeping through the night. 2 days later, Stratum's CTO hit me up directly, asked what I thought of the internal tooling so far. I gave him a 3-point breakdown and suggested a phased migration path for the messiest part of their infrastructure. He didn't nod and pretend. He followed up with, "Cool. Want to lead the next rollout?" That was it. No pitch, no carrot, just trust. I said yeah, because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't trying to keep something broken alive. I was building something that had a future. A week into my new contract, someone forwarded me Karen's farewell message, posted it on LinkedIn like she was going on a silent retreat, not getting booted mid-investigation. After a transformative chapter leading bold innovation, I'm taking a personal growth break to reconnect with purpose. Underneath that, a Canva graphic with her name in a scripted font over a soft pink background. Tagline, next chapter, loading. The comments section lit up in record time. First one, did your purpose delete the vendor logs too? Second, bold innovation equals unplugging the server and calling it cloud-based. My favorite was short and brutal. You fired the wrong guy. We all saw it. She tried replying once. Posted some airy nonsense about learning through failure and choosing joy in adversity. That only made it worse. People quote-tweeted it with screenshots of broken dashboards, angry client emails, Slack receipts. A few ex-employees even chimed in, tagging each other with popcorn emojis. And then it happened. Someone launched a parody Twitter account, @KarenFromITBio, manifesting uptime. First tweet, sunset your infrastructure to let your energy rise. By day 3, the account had more followers than the company's actual PR page. People were sending it fake tech quotes like it was a magic 8-ball for corporate disaster. I didn't comment. Didn't like, repost, retweet. Nothing. Didn't need to. The silence did more damage than I ever could. That's the thing about letting a system collapse naturally. The mess explains itself. And then Croft tried one last thing. An email. Subject line. We need to talk. No body text, just that. I stared at it for a full 10 seconds. This was the same guy who didn't return my last 5 reports, who let his daughter-in-law gut a functioning system because she read one blog post on agile culture, the same guy who gave her a job title and a salary triple mine, without asking her a single technical question. Now he wanted to talk. I clicked the trash icon without opening it, because that's what you do with garbage. You don't frame it. You don't recycle it into a second chance. You remove it. These days, I work from my sunroom. Wi-Fi's solid, chair's mine, and nobody pops in to circle back on anything. No more 8:30 a.m. meetings with green juice clowns quoting leadership books. No more 25 slide decks about culture uplift. My mornings start quiet, coffee hot, inbox cold, just how I like it. Stratum leaves me alone unless they need something. And when they do, it's a real ask, not a last-minute panic dump or a fake brainstorming session. First project, done 2 weeks early, clean code, proper documentation, 0 fires. The CTO messaged me after, this was flawless. What do you think we should tackle next? Not, can we get your sign-off? Not, does this meet your scope? Just, what do you think? That was the difference. They don't treat me like a museum piece from the old stack. I'm not a relic here. I'm an asset. They say it out loud. They show it with money and respect. Next rollout's mine to lead. I didn't ask for that. Didn't drop hints, just did the work. They noticed. Karen, quiet. I haven't seen her post in a while. Word going around says she's doing branding consults now. Vague LinkedIn services, half-baked workshop offers, nothing stable. She went from head of innovation to charging $400 for slide decks about authentic alignment. I never commented, didn't laugh, didn't care, the company she helped sink, facing 3 lawsuits, 2 class actions, and investor flight like rats off a burning boat. CEOs trying to rebrand the whole mess as a leadership reset. Too late. Last I heard, they laid off another 30 employees just to afford outside recovery consultants. Same systems I once held together with scripts, all ripped out and rebuilt at 5 times the cost. They had something that worked. Then they asked the wrong questions, listened to the wrong voice, and watched it all rot from the inside. I didn't get revenge. I didn't need it. I got peace. No speeches, no middle fingers, no mic drops. Just coffee that doesn't taste like despair, and code I'm proud to write. I was right, not loud, not angry, just right. And that's the win they never saw coming.